Good morning. Anyway, I wanted you to talk a little bit about our session overall. Everything's trading at super high speed. We had a $1,000 Dow point blast yesterday. The downside, you can see we're kind of recording this at the later part of the session here, and the Dow's down 350 points just for posterity. I'm trying to keep our YouTube channel a little more active here just so all the traders understand what's going on. I just went through the crude oil trade setups, and there were a lot of them here today. But with the prices moving as fast as they were, more caution would have been in order. And a lot of the speed will create smoother opportunities. So I'm mostly going to focus on what we did in NASDAQ today. Now, don't be surprised because it was astonishing. And you can see if I go back to the opening here, this is the opening at 6:30 my time here on the West Coast. Way back here, a lot of activity moving at probably the fastest high speed action I've seen ever. Comparable to, a lot of stuff going on this week, but really fast. And the main thing is it continued. You can see on the volume meter here, you can see on the volume meter that, where's my little cursor? There it is. On the volume meter, see this 2000 up here? Well, look at this earlier. Earlier trading today was astonishing. The average, this is again a 4 period average of the volume. We opened the room right around here, and look at the 3000 mark here. If I put that in there at 3000, that's an astonishing amount of volume for the mini Nasdaq. And look at the volume average. These crazy people were trading 5,000 contracts on the E-mini Nasdaq, but that'll explain to you why the speed and the hype. Everybody's dumping a lot of stuff, but mostly these are traders on this mini Nasdaq. They're not investors per se. But I wanted to show you in comparison to that orange line there, 3,000 contracts. While we were trading today, the volume was just hyper. I mean, just insanely hyper. And now we're coming into 9:30 my time, and the volume is finally tapering off here down towards a semi-normal area under 2000, but more like 1500. But even there, it's still like hovering above the 1500 average, which is just bizarre. Let me put a little marker here at 1500 just so you can recognize the extremity of this volume. See the 1500 line running through here? And then 3000 up here. I mean, this is wild action. So anyway, that we track that in the day traders action room every day. Average, this 700 to 1000 area is about normal. So it gives you an idea how outrageous the volume was. And looking at the prices here, you can see it wasn't rigor motivated, because even though they thought maybe they try to bring them back up, but this is very choppy. This is more like natural buying, and you know that because it's getting hit with selling, and the selling is sticking. But this was after, right as we're coming into the room, there was a choppy period after they got hammered really hard pre-market, and after the opening, they slammed them down pretty hard, came back in. It was pretty choppy. I'm just giving you a preview, so when I give you these figures, it won't surprise you too much, because our system is very good that we use for day trading. And I don't have them recorded live on here. This is just a recap that I do have live to keep it shorter. Otherwise, it would have been a 5-hour video, and that's kind of, or a 2-hour video. It would have been a little too long. But so you can see though the selling coming in strong, and they're hammering them, pretty smooth downside hammering. And I was buying dips in the midst of this, I think one or two occasions. Second one we caught. I'll go over those with you exactly. And then we came down lower here, and I realized this hyper speed wasn't going to stop. We were doing some trading because I wanted to trade for us today, and I'll explain exactly what we did, and it'll blow your mind. I haven't even totaled it up yet, but it's astonishing. And so then they started pulling them up again here. But notice this doesn't look like a normal rigger pattern. Notice the candles aren't just jacked straight up off the highs. It's moving up. But notice the pullbacks to the signal line. Notice how they're coming back. That's a green thin line here. They're pulling back. They're going up, pulling back, going up. That's a normal market. And then, of course, after it peaks out and gets exhausted, what does it do? That's right. It reverses. That's called a normal buying and selling flow. And I've been complaining about this, about these damn riggers for the longest time, because they're the only ones who've been buying the market, especially the last few months. And they come in and they just goose it up. Now here's a run up here, but look at the difference. How it pulls up and the candle pulls back up, comes way back, works its way back higher, catches support at the rim of the trade channel, comes back up, tests the rim again, keeps moving up. Then it gets exhausted after. These are real buyers in the market, and I want you to really recognize this for future recordings. And if you join the Day Traders Action Room or are a member now, which we're very grateful for, you can see these are natural buying and selling moves because they turn back and they come back down. Riggers go straight up. They don't allow any pullbacks in some cases. Real jerks, real criminals. But here they go coming down here, goosed back up, dropping them down. Normal buying and selling. Choppy as the two kind of arm wrestle a little between buyers and sellers. There's a choppiness. That is all. Whenever you see choppiness, it's just an arm wrestling match between buyers and sellers. Sellers overwhelm the market again, hit them to the downside, coming into, this was around 819, which right now it's 9, just about 940. So this is an hour, 20 minutes or so ago. Again, a little bit of arm wrestling and then a slow grind higher. Now I'm going to show you what I perceive was a rigger operation that came in just a short while ago. Notice that buying candles, they come up, but they pull down. The lows of the candle are here, then they move up, some selling, and then they get hit again with more intense selling as the dynamic trend bands cross over. They get blasted lower. I believe this was an attempt by the riggers after the market kept getting hit to try to goose it up. Notice the difference. How they go straight up and very little pullback. One little pullback candle here that turned red, but generally just straight up goosing. And then again, the arm wrestling match. Normally when you get a fat dynamic trend band spread like this, when it gets really wide, usually the price will go back up. I thought, okay, the riggers are going to grab them here and prove that it was them coming up, but the sellers overwhelmed them. They bashed them back down again. There was an attempt to ramp them back up, but look at this nice natural buying and selling here. Choppiness, everything, but natural, not rigger control. And then the sellers overwhelmed them again, hit them to the downside again. Buyers trying to come back in, getting hit. It was a slaughterhouse today. But when I show you the totals we got, we made a lot of money on the points. And again, I'll explain exactly how we deliberated on that. And up they go again. Now if you're watching this recording and you're on my YouTube video, you can see live trades on the previous video, which I recorded from our open house last Thursday and Friday. Or on Friday, there's a recording of Friday, and there's a lot of live trades in there, so you can see those. Not on this trade, though. I'm just doing a recap because I didn't want it to get as long as that last one. Sellers coming in right now live as we speak. Coming back in here with the Dow very close to clearing, being down 400 on this heavy day. But what this did was brought in back in natural buyers and sellers. Okay, so here we go. I have not done the recap for everything yet. We have a thing we call in the room, which we call volunteer trades. And that is when I see the markets moving at super high speed and it's just insanely volatile, I'm going to simply recommend, if you want to trade, just use your simulator with no risk. Keeps you in practice. That's part of a volunteer trade. Or trade with one contract, but don't use your usual 4 contracts, or unless you got a $50, $100,000 account and you're usually trading tens or whatever, then you could trade 3 or 4, whatever. I can't tell you how many to trade. It's not my job, but I am giving the advice and the idea that trim it way back. This is a volunteer trade, or just, if you can't handle it all, don't get out of sync with learning to take my trades, and just use your simulator and trade along with no risk. You'll still feel the nervousness, not as much if you had some contracts on there, but volunteer trades are real trades that I call out live. I treat them with the exact same intensity as a regular trade, meaning a regular trade where I go long at the market. I don't designate it as a volunteer trade. So that's the important distinction. One is a regular trade where I'm going to call them out live. All of them are going to be like that, but I will distinguish the others in a market I see as higher risk and more volatile as volunteer trades, or what I mark on my form here as VTs. And I would give them an honorable mention. So on the regular trades that I started doing, it was really volatile. We had our first trade. By the way, every one of these made money, but I didn't get out in time, or we had a certain target, didn't quite get hit, and they reversed so fast we get knocked out. Just so you know, every one of these made money at some point, but I wasn't scalping for 5 points. I was scalping for generally bigger positions on these. So here's what happened. I'll just give you the total. These are the regular trades. Minus 550, minus 12, plus 1350, minus 1150, plus 1250, minus 12, and plus 10 points. These are points, not ticks. These are points on the mini NASDAQ. 1 point is equal to 20 bucks. Now, I started at one point, I said, we're kind of going back and forth here. And that's when I said, this is too volatile because of the back and forth. Now, we weren't getting hammered like most people who attempted to trade in this market today were getting their brains blown out, especially if they didn't know what they're doing. We know what we're doing in the day traders action room. So after all the smoke cleared on that first 7 trades, we're only down 5 points. I could have closed it all up there and said, we lost 5 points. That's $100 a contract. No big deal. Again, minus 550, minus 12, plus 1350, minus 1150, plus 1250, minus 12, plus 10. You see there is a little bit of that down, drawn down 17, getting back 1350, so we're only down 4, then minus 1150, then plus 1250, minus 12, plus 10. There was so much back and forth. Now again, I want to mention before I go into these other trades with the volunteer trades, which were exact real trades, just that I had put a heavy warning in before it. It's a volunteer trade, which has that whole criteria that I just mentioned. What the difference here was that we got our money back, but still there's back and forth. But I want to reiterate, every single one of these trades had profits in them. It's just 5 to some had as much as 10, but then all of a sudden I'd miss my target area, and before I could get out, they'd reverse and sell or buy if I was short so fast that we'd end up just getting out of the trade. In the first trade, minus 550, I knocked that out just by saying exit at the market. The second one was stop. Fourth one, just before the stop, I got out 1150, and then they got stopped out in trade number 6. But the gains were 1350, 1250, and 10. Now, here comes a little more complex because there's a lot more. Now, in the volunteer trades, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 volunteer trades. Okay, now here's the totals. You ready? The market was absolutely going nuts. Plus 15 points. Trade number 9 stopped out for 12. Trade number 10 plus 12 points. Now trade number 12, that was trade number 11. So plus 15 minus 12 plus 12 plus 12 on trade number 11. Now 12, trade number 12 here, I'd recommend shorting at 89.90, I think it was, and then 90.05. I recommended a re-entry. So there was like a double split trade there, but then I held them both with the idea that regardless of where they come back to, if we get our fill, which was down at 85, that meant that we would have had 15 or 95 was the short. We would have had 10 points on the first level entry and 15 if you held the whole thing from the higher second level entry. Either way, we're just going to call that a 10-point gain. But I want to distinguish that for the members of the room listening here. Trade number 13 plus 18 points. Trade number 14 plus 17 points. Trade number 15 plus 5 points. Trade number 16 plus 15 points. Just absolutely nailed them. And again, if you want to see examples of live trades similar to these, you can look at the Friday YouTube recording. But this is just a recap. So let me get the totals here for the volunteer trades. So on the gain side, we had plus 15. Let's see here. 15, 12, 13, 10, plus 18, plus 17, plus 5, small trade there, and that was probably one that started working against me, and I got out with some problems. And then plus 15. Practically all winners. 105 points on the volunteer trades on the gain, and on the loss trades we had 12. Oh, that was the only one. 12 points minus 12. $105 minus 12, net 93. I wish I had recorded them looking back in hindsight, but I thought even while I was doing it, I said this could go on for hours. I won't record it because I want to make sure the video comes out. I don't know what YouTube's policy on videos that long. Usually I can get the longer ones on. It's not a problem, but anyway, I just thought I'd do the recap. And like I said, you got Friday's example of a lot of winning trades. We had a whopper day on that day as well. But it was fast and furious. And what started out the first 7 trades of back and forth, the next, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trades were all winners. I got a real feel for the market. And of course, the main thing I'm trying to prove and show you is that this was natural buying and selling. The market would flow to overbought, flow to oversold, back up again, almost like that one oddball day that I have recording on the blog in 2016. But this is unbelievable. You see what happens when we get the riggers out of the way, we get a real market. Now, today, obviously, very volatile, like yesterday was, but, you know, just absolutely mind-blowing when we get the damn riggers out of the way. Yesterday, had a huge 19-point winning day. I only made 3 trades. Normally, we target 8 to 12 points, but if the market kept going like this with all these smooth buying and selling by non-rigged market, we could up our gain, daily gain goal. But yesterday we had +6. This is Monday. +6. Let me get the date because I know it's recording. So Monday, that was the 24th, Feb 24th. +6, +6, and +7. So 19 points yesterday, which is a um, it's a $1,464 paycheck on 4 contracts after commission. If you trade 4 contracts, which what we try to help you get up to that level by showing you how to do that. So pretty darn good. Now today, here's the totals. Yikes. Ends up being 93. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Okay, so 93 minus 5 for the earlier back and forth trade, plus 88 points total. And that's on it's on 16 trades. Didn't do that much trading compared to what we had because they're just very smooth, all winning trades practically. Earlier it was a little back and forth. The market was adjusting and then it just went into flow mode for the, at least according to our indicators. I know everybody else is getting their brains bashed out, but we did incredibly well. 16 trades times $4.50 is $72 commission per contract. Now again, all I'm saying, I'm giving the voluntary trades an honorable mention, but I'm trying to show the totals. If you just traded the first ones before I went into the volunteer trades, we lost 5 points at that point, but I detected that it was just back and forth, back and forth. The market was just kind of whipsawing a lot more. The speed was higher, and it was just a lot of crazy whipsaw, but it continued through the VTs. I just think I got a better feel for it. 88 points times $20 is $17.60 per contract minus 72, $16.88. Now you're not going to have gotten all the exact fills and everything that I did, but it would have been pretty close in most cases if you're used to working the trade room like I am and you've been here with us a lot. Still, every day we don't, this thing flies around so fast, even on a normal day. So, it's going to fluctuate. 1688, and that's per contract. So if you did, say an average, you're used to doing 4. Well, times 4, if you stuck with that, it would have been a $6,700 day, which is insane. You got to love that. And 2 is half of that for $33.76. So if you average 2, you had another big whopper day. But it's just another day of trading. Again, we had 3 quick trades, relatively quick on Friday. Got a beautiful 19-point gain, $1,400 type day. And again, this is just based on the trade signals that I give you. I'm not saying anybody in our room made that amount or everybody did or half. That's not the point. I'm giving trade signals, which I offer here in the trading environment, along with precision indicators from my Boomerang Day Trader system. And we offer as a free bonus gift crude oil trades, how to trade the method. There was 8 winning crude oil trades today in the room. 8. And that again was a high speed. I wasn't there trading it, but we rely on crude oil, our Boomerang, to call out the signals. Here's an example. Here's a sell trade coming in here. You see the arrow on top of the candle. The price pressure bands open. These are the price pressure bands here. When that dashed line crosses the solid line, they're open. We look for successive lower candles in the case of a sell channel and successive higher, just an initial pointingness of the price pressure bands, a pullback to the signal line here at 52, and we scalp for 10 points. Down they come. Just to give you an example. So we've had 8 of those on today's crude oil. But that's the bottom line, is about $1,688 after commission per contract if you took all 16 of our trades today. Half of those were volunteer trades, which simply means use your simulator, trade with one contract, do something other than trade the full amount you usually do. If you trade 100 every day, which I know nobody does, that would blow apart the mini NASDAQ. If you trade 10, or for example, or 8, then you could do half. The idea is just to cut back your size. They're volunteer. Take it as you wish, but I treat them all the exact same way, the same exact intensity and the same exact attention to each entry and detail. So with that in mind, I thank you for joining with us today and appreciate it very much. And just as a quick side note, again, here it is. I mentioned this in the room the other day. Look at this new $100 bill, because I've been telling you in the room here for quite some time now about how the gold, they're creating a whole new fiat currency. They're going to destroy and get rid of the Federal Reserve. President Trump and a large committee, it's all being planned to get rid of the Federal Reserve. They're worthless, and all they do is screw up the markets. They weren't present in the markets, rigging them like crazy. And look at how beautiful. What if we could trade like this with a little slower speed, but almost every day, where it went from natural buy to natural sell? Well, if we can get rid of the Federal Reserve riggers, that could be accomplished. We could be able to see that. Look at the hint, though. I've been talking about a gold-backed currency. Look at the brand new $100 bill, which very oddly has a line up the middle, and on this side it talks about the Federal Reserve, and on this side it says the US dollar, United States of America. It's really weird how they drew a line between the rigger side, the Federal Reserve, the old fiat money, which is practically not worth the paper it's printed on, and on this side, United States of America, dollar, $100, with all this gold symbology here. Very unusual. Gold wave here, gold. And you look at the explanation here, and they'll try to, say it's this and it's that, and that's just the typical moronic mouthpiece talking about, oh, come on, it's not, there's no gold backing this. I'm just saying it's a hint. I fully believe that. Check it out, dig into it further. If you have any questions, you can just email me and I can send you some links to stuff proving that, not that this is backed by gold, but that there's a movement towards that. And again, I appreciate it.